Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Quranic Connection TV with the Daily Quran Challenge. In this verse today, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that wealth is actually not a bad thing, right? Wealth is not a bad thing, but it's all about what you do with it. And Allah has given us like the guidelines. So here, look, in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says,
ولا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل وتدلوا بها إلى الحكام لتأكلوا فريقا من أموال الناس بالإثم وأنتم تعلمون.
The creator of the heavens and the earth has instilled in us like desires. And these desires, they're the things that run our lives. Like we have a desire for food, a desire for water, we have a desire for relationships, we have desire for wealth, we have desire for success. We have so many things that we desire for. But there are some basic desires that run our lives. And from those desires is the desire for wealth. And the desire for wealth is one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instilled in you. So you can't say that desiring wealth is a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has instilled in us all these desires, but Allah has given us the tools to be able to manage it and to have the utmost success in it. So if you want to have great success in the amount of wealth that you have in your life, then in this verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outlines for us something amazing that will show you, and in fact it will show you how you can get your success. It will show you how you can avoid absolute failure. And also what we see is that all of the problems in the world today can be directly connected back to this verse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and don't take from each other's wealth. Like Allah is talking to you as a group now. Allah is not just talking to you as an individual. Allah, when He directs these commands to us, Allah commands you and I, but Allah commands all of us, because we live as a society and what we do impacts one another. So you see, Allah says, don't take from each other's wealth. Right? The basic desire for wealth is there. Allah has put it in you. But what Allah does in this verse is Allah gives you a guideline, like gives you some rules by which you can attain success and avoid failure. Or if you avoid these rules and you don't follow them, you will attain failure without any success. In Islam, the fuqaha, they say wealth is ma yuntafa' bihi, like what is benefited from. So wealth is considered as anything that you benefit from. Right? So it's not just money, it's not just gold, it's anything that you will benefit from. But those things are that we use as a currency for exchange. Like we can barter. In the old days you would barter, you'd swap your banana for a loaf of bread, right? And that's wealth. You're exchanging wealth here. Like yes, like you being given like wealth in abundance, like the entire earth is for you. Allah made the earth for you, and everything is there to serve you and serve your needs. But the thing is, like if you don't follow like the basic outline that Allah has set for you, what you end up doing is that you end up taking from other people's rights. And in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly commands us, says, "La ta'kulu amwalakum bainakum." Like don't take your wealth. Like don't take your wealth. It's your wealth. Like Allah is saying, the wealth between you, it's your wealth as well. Because when you take from it without any right, like you're not exchanging goods for it, but you cheat people, or it's deception, it's fraud, like or you lie, like you mislead, like any way that you take wealth in a dishonest way, then Allah has made it impermissible. And you see, that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La ta'kulu amwalakum. Allah says, don't take your wealth, as in the pronoun that's being used here, kum, it is talking about you as a group, right? Allah says, don't take your wealth. Don't take your wealth. Allah calls it your wealth, because when you take, it's not necessarily your wealth as in someone else's hard work is not yours. But when you trade with each other, like it creates an equilibrium. Like you pay someone their due worth for the hard work that they put into something, then you're paying them for their work and you're creating a balance. When you don't pay them enough, then what happens is that this person starts to look upon you as someone who's exploiting them, someone who's taking advantage of them. And the more you create this, like the more wealth you gain, the less they have, like it creates that divide. And you find that in all over the world. You go to different parts of the world, even in the same country that you live in, you see the gap between the poor and the rich is so huge. right? And the poor are the majority, the rich are the minority, and they look upon the rich as though they're vultures. They look upon them as though they've been exploiting them and taking everything, and they look upon them with hatred and malice and envy and jealousy. And why do they do this? Because they feel as though they've been exploited, right? Sometimes it's justified, sometimes it's not. But what it does is that this whole taking more than what you deserve and giving to others less than what they deserve, what does it cause? It causes this imbalance in society, and ultimately this is what leads to like crimes. This is what leads to killing and fraud and all the things that happens, like all the terrible things that we see across the world. This happens on an individual level, like I said, happens at group level, and it happens at a state level, where one state, one country will go to another country and go to war with that country, take control of that country, all for one reason: to take the wealth. So look, in the beginning I said that wealth was a good thing, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us guidelines and says, like, if you treat others with their due right, with the value that they are worth, meaning give them what they are worth, and don't cheat them of don't cheat them just so you can gain more, right? If you give people that, then you are helping yourself, because when you help the society, you help yourself. It creates balance, it creates harmony, and then everyone is able to trade, everyone flourishes. Whereas if you are cheating people, deceiving people, what happens is that everyone loses. Everyone loses. Even the rich, they lose. That imbalance in society, it creates so much havoc. Like we see the states are ravaging other states. One country ravages another country. Why? For its wealth. It loots its wealth, its diamonds, its gold, its whatever like natural resources it has, or the manpower of that country. Where do we get all our clothes from? We go to countries in Asia and have them produce our clothes for us, and we pay them like something that we ourselves would never work for. We pay them for something that we ourselves will never work for. Why do we do that? Is it because we can't afford to pay them? Or is it because we want more profit in what we end up taking and selling here in our own countries? Like, you find this all the time. Like, I've seen this, or people I know personally who go to other countries to do trade, and they get involved in this type of trade where they're exploiting other people. And when you ask them, like, they say, well, that's how it is. That's how it is. And if you got to trade with them, this is how you got to trade. And the thing is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on immediately after this first part of the verse and says, وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ, like, and then you give bribes, you give incentives. Like, we call it incentives. Look, we said mal, wealth in according to the scholars of fiqh, wealth is anything that you can benefit from, that you can exchange, any type of thing that you benefit from that you can exchange. So it could be anything, not just wealth, meaning not just money, not just gold, but here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and then you give like bribes. You bribe the people in power, you bribe the authority to allow you to exploit the people, right? Allah is not just referring to you and me. Allah is referring to you if you have power. Allah is referring to you if you don't have power. Allah is referring to the king, the queen, the people who are in power that are ruling. Allah is referring to them. Why? Because everyone needs this guidance. Like, Allah has made wealth a halal thing. You can have wealth. You can have abundance of wealth. Allah has made the entire earth for you. But Allah gives us a guideline that creates a balance, so that there isn't this big divide between the rich and the poor. Not everyone is suffering. So in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that you can't bribe people in authority just so that you can exploit the people beneath that authority. Like, you find that in the world today, this is one of the greatest crimes that's going on. Like, one nation or one group or one business or one person will go to another person of authority who has authority over a group of people, and that person will bribe them, give them what they call incentives, presents, gifts, whatever you want to call it, and they will allow them to exploit those people under their authority. Exploit them, take from their rights, like cheat them, like give them what they deserve more, but they give them less. Like, they exploit them, and they we call this, whatever you want to call it, free market economy or whatever you want to call it, but exploitation is exploitation. And ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made wealth a good thing for us if we take the good route to it. But if you take the bad route to wealth, then you will lose. You will lose ultimately. Allah, in the beginning of this verse, Allah talks about amwalakum, bainakum. Like this is your wealth, meaning that the wealth of the society. If you create this imbalance in society, what you're going to create is havoc in society. War, mongering, and killing, and looting, and deception, and fraud. All these things happen because people desire for wealth. But the thing is, the desire for wealth can be curbed if you do it in the right way. And so, inshallah ta'ala, like, how do you and I benefit from this? We benefit because, look, every verse of the Quran that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us here is teaching us how to think, how to behave. Like, this is all about perfecting your character, perfecting the way that you live. Like, Allah, character is not just about having good manners with people. Good manners is more about like how we behave, how we interact, how we trade. Like all of this it comes into character, and to become the very best that you could be. And you see, the thing is, Allah chose you to be from the best, right? Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat linnas. Allah chose you. So the thing is, to become of that type of person, you have to then change your thought process. You have to change the way you behave, change the way you act, and that comes through discipline. In the last video, we talked about discipline. Creating discipline, there's lots of different ways of doing it. One of them is obviously to practice something over and over again, like and to gain control over our own desires. Like, desires are what lead us. It's those impulses that make us want to do something to get something. And ultimately, to have a control over that is what will give you control over your life. So inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to leave you with that. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.